Hi everybody, this week I'm going to be featuring Jeskai Flash in a competitive modern league. Before I get started, I just wanted to mention a couple of things. In the top right hand corner of the screen you should see a link to my first vlog, which was about Friday Night Magic. And there should have been one this past Sunday, but I'm running a little late. I mentioned it on Sunday, so sorry about that, but be looking for it. And then the second thing is my other sort of YouTube project, which is about my interest in photography, landscape photography. I live in Switzerland, and the channel is primarily going to feature me hiking around and visiting awesome places and trying to improve my photography and just capture really stunning images. So all that being said, let's talk about the deck before us. So the main reason I wanted to revisit Jeskai Flash, which is an archetype that I've played in the past and had some paper tournament success with and just in general have enjoyed playing, is because now that Opt has been reprinted, you don't have to run any sorcery speed spells whatsoever. You can completely leverage the flash ability of every single card in your main deck. You might have some sorcery speed stuff in the sideboard, but if you look here, Opt lets us not run any Serum Visions. We don't have to run any Blade Splicers or Geist of Saint Traft. Everything in the deck can be flash. Now, I was putting the list together and trying to figure out exactly how many numbers of Restoration Angels I wanted and cryptic commands, things like that. And I decided to pop on over to, I think it's Gathering Magic, where Kyle Bogamus writes articles, because he's written about this article in the past, and it just so happened that he had kind of written I don't think it was a list he necessarily intended to play, but at least something I think he intended to test or muse about, I guess. But it was a Jeskai Flash list, and the one thing I noticed in there that I wouldn't have tried on my own was the fourth Logic Knot. What he did is he brought in a Polluted Delta to help, I guess, put more things in the graveyard, find more blue sources, since now there's more of a double blue and triple blue requirement in the deck. So I want to give that a try myself. I don't know if it's too greedy, but I'm willing to give it a shot. Everything else is more or less what I was going to run. I realized when I was putting this together that there's no longer not tenuous, but there's no longer a conflict between Serum Visions and Opt. If you have a Spell Snare, and say your opponent's on the plane, you have a Spell Snare, but you want to cast your cantrip as well, you no longer have to decide which one to cast. You can just always hold up your mana. So many of your turns are going to be like land, go, because you probably don't have anything to do on their turn. So the other thing is I didn't want to run the Splicers and Geist. Like I said, I wanted to be off flash, so that meant my other threes were going to be Electrolyze. Now this is one area where I'm still not sure about, because I could see myself doing something like this. Primarily, well, let me show you something here. This is what I wish I could run. Well, in a perfect world I would also run 4 Helix, but obviously I have too many cards. Now some of this might be because I like even numbers of cards when I'm deck building. But I kind of feel like there's some kind of core behind the heavy counter suite, since you're completely a flash deck. So you have the 2 1-mana counters, you have your 4 2-mana counters, your 4, what is essentially, we'll call it our spell quellers, our 4 3-mana counters, and then our 4 4-mana counters. But I don't want the deck to be too threat light. I'm not sure how a good Restoration Angel is. It actually might be better something like this. The reason I'm trimming a Vendilion Click is mainly it is a threat. I like it, but I think that it's likely not to survive very often, and where you really want it's going to be in the combo matchup. So I'm going to go ahead and relegate one to the sideboard. I think if I'm not going to play Splicers and things like that, I want the value out of Electrolyze, so I don't really want to cut it. And I want 4 cryptic commands in the deck, because again, if we're being a flash deck, what I think I want to do is I want the ability to sit on these powerful counter spells. But I've always liked the ability of a flash deck when it gets to 4 mana to either represent cryptic command or put a Restoration Angel into play. So I think I'm going to keep the 4th cryptic in the sideboard for the matches where we really want cryptic command, and that's what I'm going to roll with. As far as the sideboard, again, the Click, like I mentioned, is a static caster because I think it's good. And really just kind of have a bunch of counters. We have Dispels for combo and Blue Mirrors, Surgical Extraction, Instant Speed Graveyard Interaction, Disdainful Stroke for Eldrazi and Valakut decks, and any decks where they are going to be casting 4 drops. Purge because it's great, Stony Silence because it's useful, I kind of want to try Torrential Gear Hulk. I wanted to, at the beginning, kind of like squeeze it into the main deck, but I think it's probably better as a sideboard card in this deck. There are some matches in which I think we'd be very happy to have it. But then, you know, if we were playing a really aggressive matchup, we would also be really sad to have it in the main, so I'm fine to have it in the side. Engineered Explosives, Wear Tear, just because they're versatile. And this is the list I think I'm going to run this week. The things to look out for are going to be how are the 4 Logic Knots? Is it too much? How is the Restoration Angel? Cryptic Command's been really great for me, so... And when I last tested Restoration Angel, I just wasn't as impressed as I had been in the past. If it's a meta with a bunch of smaller creatures, Restoration Angel can really shine because not only can it bounce Snapcaster Mage to buy back removal, it can just sneak attack and block, in which case it's... If you're blocking like a wild Nakatl and killing it, it's veritable card advantage at that point. So, I think I've covered the deck well enough. Let's get into some games. One more thing before I get started, and the match is starting. I have finally improved or perfected, I think, my layout in that... I don't want to bore you. I'll just say that when I got a 1440p monitor, I immediately thought, oh, I should record everything in 1440p now and scale it down to 1080p and so on and so forth. But what actually happens is when it renders everything in 1440p, it renders everything smaller. And so it actually made the screen more difficult to read, even though I couldn't tell until I went back and watched the videos. So to the 1 or 2 of those of you that commented and said, hey, I'm having trouble reading the screen, thank you very much. Now that I'm recording in 1080p and playing it back in 1080p, the text is just larger and more readable. And as I said, I changed my layout because I don't really think I need the blue borders around things. This just lets me present the game. I can put this little banner at the top just so you have my social media stuff, and then have me in the bottom right, which might seem weird. But anyway, I think that this is overall better. Okay, so let's get this game started. Looks like we're going to be on the draw. Kind of think I want to ship this primarily because it's a 5-land hand and we're on the draw and we could easily just draw another land. I think this is better. We have earlier interaction in Spell Snare, and then we can follow it up with a Logic Knot and then an Electrolyze. This hand curves out much better and we get to draw. So this is a very reactive hand, but one that I'm happy to see. As far as the 4th land, we're going to make our next 3 drops. I don't necessarily think we need it. Okay, so I think I'm just going to lead on Colonnade. Because our opponent played a Creeping Tarp, maybe that was a mistake. Maybe I did want the Spell Snare. I was going to say he might not have a turn 2 play, but it could be, he could play a Bitter Blossom, he could play a Bob, he could actually play lots of things that we would want to counter. So hopefully we don't make a mistake there. Looks like we did. That's not the worst. I would have preferred to Spell Snare that, but because that would have, protected our Logic Knot in the event that our opponent wanted to. Makes me wonder if they're taking Electrolyze. I wonder if they have a white source in there for something like Lingering Souls. Opponent knows about the Flooded Strand. We'll play that. So we took our Electrolyze, but we do still have our counters up. If I could do it again, though, I would have led on the island just so that I could Spell Snare for sure. Alright, I'm going to fetch up a Scalding Tarn and go ahead and opt. Opponent doesn't know about this Hallowed Fountain and he's not going to... I guess I could just draw another opt. I'll just play this island. Now I have Logic Knot, Spell Snare up, and I'll be opting again. Raven's Crime. That's interesting. I'm not sure what we're playing against. I don't think there's anything such as blue-black 8-rack. It's like fairies. Inquisition. Sure. Snap. Search for Azcanta. So I think I need to counter that. Probably get rid of this electrolyze. I just think like if he resolves it, we'll probably eventually lose to that spell, so he could very easily have another one in his hand. I don't feel like Bolt's super useful right now. It is an answer to this Creeping Tar Pit. I'm a little less worried about that at the moment. I'm going to put it on the bottom. Alright, just another removal spell. Alright. Kind of curious if we're going to see another attempt to resolve an search for Azcanta here, which obviously would resolve, and we're not. Okay, just play this tapped. So this could be a cryptic. Gifts ungiven. Alright. Can't do anything about that. Very curious to see what our opponent gets. Gifts is a very powerful card, obviously. Okay, so here's the split. I think we want to put maybe Loam and Fetid Pools in the graveyard. What I don't know is like I don't know that the dredging is as important as actually casting life from the Loam to get back lands. So I'm gonna just do this, and then the Fetid, I guess, denies him a draw step. We will be casting this Restoration Angel. So it's going to be, we're going to have to kill him pretty quickly. Because now we are like in the grind zone of we're going to be potentially getting Ravens Crimed every turn, Ghost Quartered every turn. probably will be sending this bolt upstairs. Probably going to retrace Raven's Crime, and we'll shoot the bolt at the opponent. Yeah, here's the retrace. Shoot the bolt. Hit 6. Hope our Restoration Angel lives. No. Okay. Game's probably over. All right. So now we can start. I would probably tar pit us, or just this is an interesting one. Oh, because he can cast it from his graveyard. Right. Okay, this is going to be a difficult matchup. He has a lot of graveyard stuff. Yep. And he has gifts. He has other ways to get this into the graveyard. He has Search for Azcanta. I'm just going to shoot that at his face. Probably not going to be good enough. I should have fetched, by the way. Yeah, this is these you don't see them as much in Modern anymore, but these Loam decks, if you don't if you get to this stage of the game against them and they're not almost dead, you're probably going to lose. They're very grindy. They're difficult to interact with because they utilize the graveyard, and obviously, you know, that's not something that this deck has like a main deck way to deal with. They get to, you know, kind of, they usually can have early discard to kind of gain perfect information and take your key cards to slow you down long enough so that they can like start loaming. They can start ghost coding you every turn. Like obviously this thing, they can put lands in their graveyard very easily with Loam and then retrace that. So see, we are getting ghost quartered every turn here. Now, if my opponent casts Loam, I suppose we have a chance to queller it. It's kind of interesting. He didn't dredge it there, he just drew. Alright, but there's another Loam in the yard. I'm probably going to get Raven's Crimed first. So they just have this like really awesome engine of, you know, I'm going to Loam to get back lands, to buy back Raven's Crime, to buy back Worm Harvest, to buy back Ghost Quarter, to Loam again, so on and so forth. It's an endless cycle. So they kind of keep your hand down, and yes, we can't counter that with a Spell Queller. We'll put one into play. I'm holding on to the Scalding Tarn because I want to be able to get a red source if I need it. 8. Yeah, we're dead. Okay. So, what is that? Are you not allowed to like line things up anymore? Okay, that was weird. All right, surgical extraction for sure. I think dispels probably negate. Probably a Vendilion Click. I'm not sure about the cryptic commands. Torrential Gearhulk is a maybe. Kind of seems a bit worse. If they have like Bojuka Bogs. Path to Exile seems pretty do nothing. Electrolyze. I guess the Is It Static Caster is a good answer to those like him repeatedly getting worms. This is kind of like too much stuff to bring in though. We need to kill him quickly, which makes me not want to cut the burn spells. This could just be a little too slow and clunky. So I'm going to cut that. I don't like cryptics in this matchup. Maybe I cut the cryptics, actually. It might seem weird, but again, like, maybe I cut this and just hope for the Static Caster. Like, if we're at, like, Cryptic, Snap Cryptic against that deck, that's not a place we really want to be, unless we've Surgical something. I think I'm going to go with this. We might be able to get a Loam and shut off his engine, or just draw out no lander. Seems okay. I'm going to prioritize fetches because of the Ghost Quarter problem we're most likely going to be facing. Okay, so yeah, we'll keep this, like I said. I want to put this on the bottom, not that it really matters, because I think I'm going to fetch at the end of his turn and opt. I guess in theory I know that I scryed a land at the bottom, so I could just not opt, but I think I want to opt. Alright, let's cast that opt and put land on bottom and draw a land. Ugh. Oh my gosh, okay. This is getting bad. Trying not to draw lands, and that's all we're doing. Yeah, I think even in even Legacy, I mean, I'm no Legacy expert, but I think that a good Loam deck can kind of prey on some of the blue decks if the blue deck can't kill them quickly enough. They're just, like I said, I've been saying, they're just really grindy. They definitely have the resource advantage. All right, well, this hand got real bad real fast. this guy and play this. Say go. I sense this uncracked misty rainforest. I sense a fatal push. Do I even try to play around it? Thinking. And I guess I can just pass. I'm not. We could draw a dispel. It's gonna be pretty maybe I shouldn't even try to play around fatal push. I'm not sure because he can always ghost quarter pretty easily to do that. Rather to activate revolt or delirium, or it's not either of those, I don't think. But whatever makes fatal push kill this thing. I don't want to get Raven's Creme every turn. I will try to queller this. Does that mean that he's going to Loam? Probably. Yeah, here's the push as expected. I'm not sure how many lands I've drawn this game, or even tried not to draw, but it feels like a lot. Could be wrong. Not really counting, just going on the feels. These don't even feel like real lands at this point. I don't have a Sacred Foundry. I can get basics with them if I need to, I suppose, but I'm probably about to be getting them with this Ghost Quarter. This is going to go badly, I think. Probably not unlike the last match. Alright, shoot our opponent in the face. Hope that's good enough. Loam. Yeah, that's not going to do anything. It's not doing anything, but I think I just put this into play anyway. to getting fatal pushed. And this is like was my experience when I last tested Restoration Angel. It got fatal pushed a lot. Now this deck has more ways than most to enable that, but this is it doesn't really matter. This is kind of what I felt like last time. It was getting do I activate? He hasn't cast Loam yet. I guess I do. Jeez. No basics left. I guess I have a planes in there somewhere. So we're just doing this in the hopes that he doesn't have a life from the Loam. That way we can activate our other colonnade. No Loam. Might have another removal spell. Very curious to know what's in his hand. Alright, all the basics are out. Okay, well that doesn't do anything yet. It also doesn't flashback Fatal Push at instant speed. Okay. Curious. Probably, let me think. It can flashback Brutality. He's having trouble answering this colonnade. So I think because of that, I think it's right to bolt this Jace. Like clear he's not dead here. Oh, what a difficult decision. So let's see. He flips Jace, gets back a Brutality, gains 2 life, still making the colonnade lethal. He also gets to draw 2 cards next turn. Maybe even more with the Thought Scour. Yeah, I'm going to shoot the Jace. Because if he... The reason I'm shooting the Jace is he draws 1 card for his draw step, a card off Jace, and then he gets to maybe even draw a card off the Thought Scour, so he potentially sees 3 cards. Whereas next turn he's only going to see 1 card. The colonnade almost has him dead, and there's even a chance for something like a Snapcaster Mage Bolt to finish the job. I feel like this just buys us a little bit more time. Something. I'm gonna hold on to the surgical. All right. So probably just gonna wait with this surgical, and like if he gets a Loam in the yard, just try to shut off the engine with that. Yeah, definitely gonna loam, or definitely gonna surgical that, because that is the engine. That's what enables the Ghost Quarter shenanigans, the Life from. That's what enables the Raven's Crime shenanigans. It's really what does everything. So this. Tendrils, explosives, okay, and a Ghost Quarter. Well, strip mine. Damnations, Gifts, Inquisition is another Jace, the worm thing. Okay. All right. He has 4 gifts in the deck, so I think it's worth it to bring in this Dispel. He can cut us off of red. That might be what's happening. Yeah, I think so. Not going to search, there's no reason. We're actually just completely cut off red from the rest of the game. Our steam vents are in the yard. Yep, that's unfortunate. Wish we'd drawn like a Logic Knot instead. Man. So we're gonna go to 2 and he's gonna go to 1, and even if we draw a Bolt, we're not gonna have an answer. Or even if we draw a Burn Spell, it's not gonna do the job. Close game 2. Maybe he doesn't attack. Okay. I kind of think I would have. I think Geist is better in that matchup. If you can get an early Geist, then you can present a lot of pressure. If you don't present much pressure, then you just give them time to loam and quarter, and you're just gonna eventually die. Strip away your hand, all that stuff, everything that you saw. Okay, well that's start to the league. Played with just undoubtedly a bad matchup. Hopefully, I guess I'm just I don't know what I'm hoping to play. I'm just hoping to have fun playing Jeskai Flash and see how it works out. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I will see you guys tomorrow.